Hi, and welcome to another video in the series of training videos on how to be successful in multi-level marketing. This one is titled 4 Things You Must Do, and it's part 2 of a presentation that we've just finished off. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, it's there on YouTube as well, so have a look at that one first before you dive into part 2 here, okay? My name is Rob Lemke. I'm a lifestyle trainer, and I've got about 20 years of experience in multi-level marketing, and I hope to bring that experience to bear as we go through these slides together. Are you ready to go ahead with this? If your answer is yes, then let's do it. Okay, 4 things you have to do. We finished off part 1, if you remember, talking about a journey from rainy Washington to sunny California, with sunny California representing your success when you arrive, okay? So that was the idea, that's the analogy that we're painting here. The first thing that we had to do on that journey was to get in the car and start the car. Okay, so that was talking about getting into a multi-level marketing company and actually starting, and that means signing up and paying the fees and getting the starter kit or whatever you have to do to get started. And then the second thing that you must do, no matter what the MLM or multi-level marketing company is, you have to put petrol in the car and oil in the car, consumables, and that represents your use of the products. If you remember back to the part 1, how important and critical it is to keep putting petrol in the car, not only in the first month, but second month and every month after that, to repeatedly buy the products as consumables. Buy and use, buy and use. And we saw that the reasons for that as well is to build credibility as well as to keep petrol flowing, and so that you can keep moving on in your journey towards sunny California. If you don't put fuel in the car stops and you end your journey. Vehicle's no longer there. You can get out and walk, I guess. But even then, maybe you don't even want to walk anymore. So the idea of putting petrol in the car is very critical in this journey. So now we get to the third thing, and we just touched on it in the last part of part 1. And the idea of the third thing you have to do is shifting into high gear. But we said already in the first part that you don't shift directly from neutral into high gear, right? Because you just bog down the car. The transmission can't handle it going from neutral stationary position to high gear because it doesn't have the momentum, it doesn't have the speed to get you into high gear. You have to go through a series of smaller gears, first gear, second gear, third gear, and then shift into high gear if you're going to do it in the correct way. So relating that again to multi-level marketing, you have to go through those stages. Let's talk about the first stage, which is shifting into first gear. So how do you shift into first gear? As we say here on the slide, you must basically sponsor somebody into your business. And the research is showing that with multi-level marketing companies, that the ideal number of times is 5 times to shift into first gear. In other words, finding 5 people to sponsor, not just any old people. You're looking for people who are serious about the business. So how do you tell, or how do you determine that somebody's serious about the business? It's something that we're going to look at in detail in the next couple of presentations. But just to give you an idea, how to determine a serious person is basically someone that's ready to start with you in the business. So once you do that 5 times, then you are in first gear and you're moving along down the road towards success, okay, after shifting into first gear. So once again, this is moving into the second part of the third thing that you must do in any MLM organization, that is shifting into second gear from first gear. So how exactly do you do that? As we see from the slide here, you teach your first 5 serious sponsors or serious people that you've sponsored to get into the business, and you teach them to get into first gear. In other words, they have to sponsor 5 serious people as well, right? So now, when you get your first 5 sponsors in first gear 5 times, then you end up shifting into second gear indirectly because your organization is now bigger, and you shift there 25 times, right? Indirectly shift into second gear. Those 25 on the second line from your first line of 5 are helping you in your organization to get yourself into second gear. Okay, so that's where we stand. And then the next thing that you have to do as part of this shifting into high gear, you're going to shift from second gear to third gear. So again, how exactly do you do that? Well, with teaching again, you're teaching your 5 people to teach their 5 serious people to get into first gear now 5 times. Again, they're sponsoring 5 people each in your second line. So they're in second gear 25 times, right? And that puts you then in third gear. Once all of your top line is in second gear 25 times, that puts you in third gear 125 times. Okay, basically when your second line is sponsoring five people each, that's 25 times 5, so that gives you 125 on the third line. And that's why we're saying 125 times you're shifting into third gear as an organization, or you as the sponsor of that organization as it went down. Okay, so now you have a third level. So it happens when you have third level distributors in your organization. First line would be 5, that's your line, and then from there it generates 5 times 5, which is 125, and then from there it generates 5 times 5, which is 25. 25 each, yeah, is 25, and then 25 times 5 gives you then 125 in the third line. Okay, so now you're in third gear when your original 5 series people are in second gear. So it carries on like that. So you're shifting now finally from third gear into high gear, fourth gear. We call it, in America, they call it high gear. So that's why I put that in there. Do you notice, first of all, how smooth your car is running once you get up into fourth gear? And guess what? It's the same for your organization. It also tends to run much smoother once you get into fourth gear. So the idea is to get into that fourth gear, shift into fourth gear as soon as possible, as soon as you possibly can in your journey. Okay, it gives you much smoother chance of succeeding in a big way because of that. Okay, so how do you know when you're in fourth gear or high gear? Again, we're looking at the levels as you go down. When your first level, those first 5 series people are in third gear, then it means that you're going to be in fourth gear or high gear. Okay, so great. Now you're running along in high gear. Everything's going good. You're well on your way to successful sunny California with 625 or 780 to be complete about it. Once you add up all the lines, it's going to be actually 780 people, but 625 on that last line. Okay, so you get now into a situation where you're in high gear, but you want to get into overdrive, because sometimes you got to put your car into overdrive and pass somebody on the highway. For example, you have all that extra power available to then speed up and pass whoever it is on the highway that you need to pass. Okay, so how do you get into overdrive? Well, again, here it just follows on from the last one. You're teaching the people that you sponsor to get their people into third gear, which puts them into fourth gear or high gear, and then that results in you getting put into overdrive. Okay, so you've got this tremendous, robust organization, 3,125 people on the last line, and that kind of training and well-trained and serious people all the way down to the fourth line is now putting you in overdrive, and the whole organization is moving towards sunny California with a very strong chance of success. And just to go back to the product, with that many people in the organization, there's a lot of petrol available, and you can go really far on that petrol, and everybody's buying and using the product, and so there is no problem in terms of distribution of product. Absolutely not. Okay, so speaking of product, we've already said 3 things out of 4 that you have to do on this journey in order to be successful and make it to sunny California. And if you think back, even all the way to part 1 of the presentation, we've never said once to you that you have to go out and sell, right? We haven't said to you that you have to sell, but what we do say is that you need to share the products, right? So you're buying the product as petrol and oil, and you're using the product, but the other thing here in number 4, the fourth thing that you must do is share the product with friends. So when we say friends, it's all the people that you know, all your friends and acquaintances. Listen, I've tried this product. Look at me. I've lost 30 kg. This is something that you should try. Give it a go. It's very effective. Your authentic product story comes through, and you get your friends and acquaintances involved by telling them this authentic story and getting them convinced to also try the product, and therefore they become regular retail customers after that. You can also do it with strangers. You notice something that maybe somebody needs, and you find out what is their pain point, and you address their pain point with saying, hey, this stuff worked for me, not in a selling way, but in a network way, where you're making a social network with them, actually, right? And in the end, they see the benefits of the product, and they call you up and say, hey, that really worked. I need to get some more for this month, and they end up being also a retail customer for you, and in that way become your friend in terms of being a customer, a retail customer, the same as all of your friends and acquaintances are, with repeat buying month by month of product. So now, by focusing on the first 3, and then this 4th one as well, what we're doing is really shifting the focus over to building social networks. And that now you can see why it's so successful in this day and age, because you get people like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and Snapchat and WhatsApp and all of these tools which are available for us for communicating within vast social networks and targeted social networks. It becomes an environment where really multi-level marketing, never in history has it been a better time for multi-level marketing companies to really flourish, because they are essentially also social networks, and you can see that they mesh very well with all of the electronic social networks that we have available for us to really talk to so many different people, to have eyeballs on videos of us doing stuff like this, training our organizations as we go from first gear to fourth gear. And you can imagine how many people, or hopefully, that will end up watching this video and being impacted by it and being therefore convinced to get in the car and start. That's the whole idea here, right? And by building those social networks, we tie in very nicely with all the platforms, with the Facebook, with the Instagram, with the Twitter, with the TikTok. The most recent here being TikTok. I'm still figuring it out, but getting some views on TikTok, and people responding to the Q&A and things like that. So we've actually nabbed a number of people in terms of them deciding to get in and start the car, yeah, and get on their journey towards success in sunny California. So again, all right, that brings us to the last slide of this presentation. What we're saying is that there's no need to look for new customers, right? You don't need that many customers to still be a success in terms of getting your vehicle to California. Let's say you have 10 or 5 customers each in the organization. That really increases the revenue right there, right? It's not a matter of going out and selling a bunch of retail product to big end retail. You see, if you do number 4 and you didn't do number 3, if you didn't do number 3, you're still in neutral. Your vehicle is sitting in the driveway. The engine might be racing. You might be using a lot of consumables, using up petrol and gas, but nobody's in gear. Nobody's moving towards sunny California. And that's what happens, for example, when you have salesmen doing things their way that they've learned in traditional business. They tend to go out first and try to sell in a big way a lot of retail product. But without getting into gear first, that tends to backfire, and it doesn't help anybody in the organization to move towards the success of having a strong, robust network. Okay. So basically, if you can understand this point and how it ties in with number 1 and number 2, then you end up with a very strong organization. Okay, I've just lost my train of thought here. My wife came in with the phone blaring. Let me just try to go through that again. Okay, if you don't do number 3 and you try to do number 4, like a salesman would do, you never get out of the driveway, and you don't have the success that you would have if you first shifted into high gear and get all of your people aligned with you. Behind you would be high gear, and into third gear and into second gear, all the way up the line, and continue that process. Then you don't have the same level of success, let's say, that you would if you did number 1, number 2, and number 3, and then worried about number 4 after that. Okay, so with that in mind, if you can understand this and tie it in with those first 2 and number 3, shifting into high gear, then you can begin your journey. You're in gear, you're going down the road, and you have a true success-driven, multi-level marketing type of attitude. Okay, so I wish you all success on this journey, and we'll see you in sunny California. So I hope that you enjoyed the video in this part in the series, this training in the series. And these are we've got one more to do for the first 4. These are the critical ones, but this is number 3. And then you'll see also the rest of them from 5 to 10. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And also, if you have an interest in getting in the car and starting, we have a link to the JEUNESSE website, which gives you all the information about the company and the current opportunity that we have, that we're a part of now. So go ahead and click that link, get in the car, start it up, and start on your journey towards sunny California. We can start to buy product, oil and gas for the car, shift into high gear from first and second and third, and then into high gear, and then begin to share with friends. We wish you success on your journey to sunny California. Right. We'll see you in the next training session. Thanks. Bye.